Okay.
Great. Welcome, everyone, to the Community-Based Social Media Learning Network webinars. Today we have Angelia and Elise from the Michigan Community Service Commission and Gail Brock sharing some of what they've been doing and learning as they've been experimenting with social media in their organizations. So without sort of further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the Michigan folks who will take the next half hour to share some of what they have done and what they're learning.
Hi, everyone. This is Angelia. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're on a speakerphone. I am the Learn and Serve coordinator here at the Michigan Community Service Commission, and we work with both K-12 and CBO programs. And I am joined by our communications specialist, Elise Walter, who is the brains behind this whole thing. So she's going to be showing a lot of the things that we've been doing and just kind of adding information about where we go from here, too, because a lot of this will land on her and her good skills and good commitment to the social media work. Yay! Yay. So we wanted to share just kind of an overview of where we started, where we kind of thought we would go, and then where we ended up. I think we're pretty pleased with some of the things that have happened. I will give you this framework to begin, and it is that when we started a year ago, we had zero support for using any sort of social media in our organization. The agency was reluctant even to do things like webinars and some other things like that. And so there was a core group of a few of us who really did believe that there was a good role, especially as it relates to the young people we work with through Learn and Serve, AmeriCorps, and in the mentoring world, which is another major initiative of ours. So there were enough of us who were committed to doing it that we kind of stuck it out and tried to make it happen. That being said, it hasn't been easy, though it is getting easier and easier, and we kind of feel like it's taking off now, so that's a good thing. The other thing is that I think, as you mentioned earlier, Kristen, we've learned so much. It was many painful learning opportunities for us. And it's so great that we're doing this together now because it was good to hear that other people have had some of the same challenges. And I think that we want to be able to share, ask some questions of you all, too, that are on the phone about how you've addressed certain issues. So we'll do that towards the end. So kind of the kickoff for our thing was we had a summer youth leadership camp. We partnered with another youth-serving organization for the first time. This, we expect, will be an annual event. We started it in 2008. With young people who put together the agenda, facilitated all of the sessions, set up service opportunities for us with 3 days of that. And the idea would be that from that camp, we would keep that group connected both through an online community, but then also invite them to apply for mini grants to do service in their communities that they could then document and show and share. We could all be a part of that conversation and experience. The other piece that we wanted to do was give mini grants to local sites to challenge them to look at how they use social media so that we would learn as a group and we would learn what it looks like at the state level, but also what it looks like locally. And then the fourth kind of component of that was getting a social media intern, someone who could kind of pull all of these pieces together. So that's, and support us in our growth because we didn't feel that we were the experts. I don't think we feel that yet. But we needed to be able to support our locals, too, and so that intern was going to be really integral in doing some of that work for us. Hello, Brad. Do you have a question?
Yes, I'm trying to type it at the same time here to follow instructions. But could you say a little bit about what the purpose of the mini grants were to be, or is that yet to come?
Yet to come.
Thank you.
I'll be quiet and listen then. Thank you.
Please put your hand down now. So those were kind of the big things. Thank you. Some of the big things that we wanted to focus on and spend our time on. And so I want to go back for a second and talk to you about what really happened. So we had the camp. It kicked off in 2008. We had about 100 students who were there from across the state. They did come in teams, roughly of about 5. Immediately what we wanted to do is connect them to technology and how to use social media and how to use some online communities to stay connected beyond the camp. And they were so incredibly bonded and really had a good experience. We're going to show you, I think. Let's show it down to the main, where I think is, no, sorry, show it up. So immediately what we did, we had someone come out and do a session on Learn and Serve Challenge, what it meant and why they should get involved, and then we introduced them to using online tools like Facebook and all those other things, and showed them how they could be really powerful in spreading the word about service. We were at this fairly rustic camp, but we had a technology lab set up and allowed the students to get on immediately, log on and begin to populate their Ning sites. Like you all probably have used Ning. We were introduced through it through Corporation and the Clearinghouse. But it has been a really cool tool to kind of keep them connected. So as you can imagine, it was nonstop. The students wanted to be on the computer the whole time because they were emailing each other and uploading pictures and really staying very connected. There were some really cool photos from, we had an awesome dance and some great service project pictures too. Really good support. What happened though over time is that folks stopped using it as much. School started, these things happened. So as much as the adults in the group tried to kind of encourage the conversations, it began to die out, which led us to 2009. So we've started a new camp development. It's next weekend, and we have our committee who now has a 2009 camp website, and they're going to begin getting people populated and working on that one as well. The other thing we did was, with the mini grants, was put mini grants out to locals to really encourage them to use social media and other forms of technology in ways that they hadn't before, in ways that did two things. One is create a community amongst service learning practitioners, but then also do some forms of outreach and get them spreading the word around service. So we had 3 grantees. We only budgeted $10,000 for this. So when I say mini grants, I meant tiny mini grants. And we had 5 applicants, and each of them said, "This is so cool. We'll take less if it allows us to bring other people into this." So Fund 3. I thought that was really, really very cool. And they were, again, in the very beginning, very reluctant. We had lots of reasons why they couldn't do it. My school blocks, I'm worried about security, all the things that we all share. But the grants went out, folks got excited about it, and we had 3 kind of different, really unique approaches. One was a group that started a virtual bowling league. They'd been doing a Cyber Citizens technology mentoring program with the local senior center for a couple of years, and they were looking for a way to kind of amp it up. So they pretty inexpensively did, started a bowling league. A couple of years ago, they got a big technology grant, so they were able to put computers into the senior center so they could stay in touch between classes. So they started the league, and they're using Facebook as a way to spread the word around service learning. The woman who was going to invite me to be a part of that is on her honeymoon. So I wasn't able to show you that link, but I'll make sure to get it out to you. It's a great service learning project, but on top of that, they're really being creative about how to use Facebook to promote what they're doing and share. They have their home web page for Cyber Citizens on their school website. It has lots of links for senior citizens, just kind of a neat thing. The second group is exploring how to create community in their schools, and they invested in using Moodle. So they're going to use that in supporting teachers in particular, and then bringing them on and into service learning using a more technological approach than the face-to-face stuff that they were doing. And then the third group is really created a website designed to bring students, educators, community members together around service. And all of these, kind of were really getting started pretty strong in the spring, and they're moving on here now. The one that we put up here is Engage Ionia. And they have a variety of things that they're going to do. There'll be lesson plans and, kind of the school stuff here. They'll have community contacts. But they're calling these that I'm showing you here PSAs. And they're student-led. Oh, sorry. Let's see if I can get back to where I was. The PSAs are around service learning in there, many of them youth-driven. I know you can't hear these, but just wanted to be able to show you some of the videos that are up. And they've been calling them PSAs. They weren't intended to be PSAs, but they really think they're effective tools in getting others to see and explore and experience service learning. One of the challenges that we sent out to this group and to our young people was to look at the service learning standards and maybe to do some videoing around the standards to see if they could document some of those. And I'm hopeful that we'll get some of those this year still, and if not, we're going to push that again next year, because I think in terms of working with other teachers, if you can have a visual depiction of what a service learning standard would be, could be really useful. So this is the Engage Ionia. They're probably the furthest along at this point. And then I guess I wanted to say to you is that that was where we kind of went with service learning stuff, but it really grew from there. And we found that we started using the social media and really encouraging this in all of the groups that we work with. So I work with the school-based grantees. They got into NAME pretty good, and they've taken a little bit of a break lately. We had a sustainability symposium recently, and that generated a little additional interest, but they're sharing resources. I love to get in and kind of listen in on conversations that they're having between each other. So that's been, they've really adopted this, and it felt very safe to them because it was, it's a closed community. So I think they are pretty comfortable using this. What we've also noticed is our coordinators and teachers now taking on Facebook. And so I wish there was a way we could label them and say they're service learning people and the kids are service learning students, but we haven't figured out how to do that yet.
Logo. Sorry.
A logo. Encourage them all to put a logo on there. You'll have to help me with that.
Sure.
Okay. So, we've used it now with not just Learn and Serve. We're using Facebook and some other things, plus Ning with a number of sites. For our cross-stream conference every year, well, we do it every 2 years, but we last year did a session on social media, and we had people there in the fall who said, never going to happen, we're never going to use it, and they're online. I won't name any names, and I won't tell you what programs they're from, but they've been really, really catching on, and it's been really exciting to see it take off. So that's what we thought would, where we were, what has happened. In terms of the second slide, I think, what did we learn? Getting us there. There we are. So in terms of lessons, there were some big ones. One was to be flexible. So one of the components of the mini grants that we were offering to campers was that they would do their projects, document them. We didn't have people who applied for them. I think they were restrictive, so we thought we made them really simple. We allowed them time to work on them. We offered them twice, and students just weren't interested. And so we kind of went back and thought we don't want to lose the opportunity to do social media stuff. What can we do instead? And instead we loaned flip videos to our Service Learning Youth Council members who are across the state and said, go and record. Work with your coordinators locally, find out what the legal parameters are, make sure that you're doing things according to your local policies, and they did. So that has been really effective. We need to work with them in the next couple of weeks to get all their materials because we're having a hard time getting from Flip to ours so that we can do some editing and cleaning them up too. And Elise has been really helpful. So we expect to have some of those in the probably next couple of weeks and get some final copy that we can put up in a variety of places that Elise will talk about later. And I'm going to turn it over to Elise because I think she was really instrumental in terms of some of the other things that are listed here.
As Angelia was saying earlier, one of the toughest things that we've here at the Commission in Learn and Serve Michigan have had to deal with is getting people on board within our office and our grantees and our constituents to engage in social media opportunities. But because Angelia is such a strong leader, she kind of engaged myself as the communications specialist, and then we also have an outstanding AmeriCorps Vista member who is a technology wizard in our office. So between the three of us, we've been able to implement some really fun and fresh and keeping up with the times ideas of ways that we can be engaging more people through social media. And one of our first forays into these opportunities was Facebook. So we would love to share with you one of our Facebook pages, which is for Michigan's AmeriCorps. This kind of, I mean, we don't have a ton of fans, but I am shocked at how fast this has kind of exploded. We have 116 fans, and we just started the page, early June, I think. So we're pretty pleased about that. I kind of, oftentimes, I will set a goal and ask people to become a fan or else, and it's amazing what you can coerce people into doing. Yay! And then another page that we've engaged is the Mentor Michigan page. Mentor Michigan is one of our initiatives here at the Commission. And so, again, we just have another similar Facebook fan page that we can share our news and our events, and we can facilitate discussions, and we can put photos and videos and all kinds of things. And I just think one of the main reasons that we started looking into social media options is because the more channels I think that you can provide to people, the better, because not everybody responds to an email or just a general website or anything like that, or a letter in the mail. I mean, everybody's different based on generation, based on education level, based on demographics, based on all those things. So I mean, when I put a link up on our Facebook fan page, that is not the only place that it's going. That's on our website. That's going out in an email. That's going out in our bi-monthly e-newsletter. That's going to Twitter, et cetera, all those different places. So that's been really good to just get things even more broader than what we've originally been able to do. I will say that that we have run into some roadblocks, because anything that we do with youth, because the Michigan Community Service Commission does engage a lot of youth, it needs to be controlled just to ensure that they're being kept safe, that we're addressing all our liability issues, and that is an issue sometimes, because I think kids are so used to being able to do whatever they want on the internet, and there's no repercussions, and there's no concern. But obviously, because we are a professional organization, we need to maintain our brand, and we need to maintain consistency. So we have had issues of having other people post on our pages and having people post on our blogs, and making sure that those maintain consistency. But I think one of the reasons that the AmeriCorps fan page has taken off is because the AmeriCorps members understand that, because they have a lot of stipulations as an AmeriCorps member and someone doing national service. So they really understand what those rules are and why they need to oblige by them. What was I going to show during that part?
That was it.
Okay. And then lastly, another thing that we've been doing, that we've been working on a lot, very heavily I should say, is blogs. And I'm actually very proud of these, because we've been able to really engage a lot of different, and our mouse isn't working,
Mouse,
so
sorry.
That's awesome, is the fact that we've been able to engage so many people in this blog. So what we did for the Michigan's AmeriCorps Member Council blog is we assigned a member for each week during this past year of service, and they're asked to write a post on their service, or perhaps a service event that's happened within their program, and share that with us. We also have a blog for mentoring, which is called the Men in Mentoring blog, which is more about sharing resources and conversations about the importance of mentoring in our communities. And then lastly, we have a youth service blog, which is about service learning and just general youth service. It doesn't necessarily have to be tied to our SLIC team, the Service Learning Youth Council. It's about service in general and what youth are driving. So that's been exciting to be able to have those consistently updated, which I would say is another key, is consistency. Making sure they're always updated, they're fresh, they're new. When people go to it, it's not the same old information. They can always see something exciting to look at.
What's been interesting is that, you know, again, this small grant really allowed us to, it gave us some leverage to use the social media and other parts of our programs. And what's, it's great that it's taking off on the AmeriCorps side, on the Mentor Michigan side. Our group has been slower to adopt with our young people. We have smaller groups, and we have more than 2,000 AmeriCorps members, so it gives you some other options in terms of, you know, audience and getting blog posts. it's been harder with our young people. And I think that kind of takes us to kind of the third slide, which was what are the implications for youth service? What does this mean for us? And I think part of it is that we need to be really mindful about how we engage young people. Go back to what was I supposed to say here? And that we need to ask them what works, and really help them take a stronger leadership role in pushing the social media stuff. And we've capacity there. Thankfully, three of us really kind of focused on this, but not any of us really has dedicated time to do a lot and the kind of support that is needed. Yeah. We were just talking before the call that we have some youth council members who are now married with children, and we're thinking that it's time to re-engage them and really find out what it takes to get our young people committed, not just to the service locally, but to this organization and the role we play in promoting service. And we need to help our local sites do this thing, because I think they're still reluctant users. They're into it. They do it at home because they're firewalls oftentimes. But we need to get them developing that into their service learning strategy. How do you work with young people to promote service learning using social media? So we're going to go kind of to the end, which is what's next, or what next, and talk a little bit about where we think this is going, though we recognize that we're probably still right at the beginning and we're learning a bunch.
Yeah, we're still rookies at this game. So one of the big things that we recognize that we need to do is increase usage, as Angelia was saying, for our youth members. I think we just need to make it even more structured, but almost casually structured, so they don't know they're being structured. It just engages them more frequently and keeps them on a track that people realize that what they're creating and what they're providing through the blog and through a Facebook page and all those good things are being maintained and fresh and exciting for people to look at. So I think we're on the right track with our AmeriCorps people. Mentoring is slowly but surely getting there, and Learn and Serve. Hopefully, if we do this in another year, we can tell you that we're champions. So we'll get to that point. We also have a couple of new strategies that we're looking into. One of the big ones that I'm not even really familiar with, but I'm excited to approach, is mobile technology, such as mass texting and creating just more things for people that are using PDAs and their cell phones, as opposed to being able to sit down at a desktop or laptop computer and look things up readily, making things more accessible to people that are on the road and on the go and traveling and busy, and providing them more opportunities to engage those people as well. So we're slowly but surely dabbling into the mobile technology for outreach and education, and very anxious about that opportunity. We're also looking more into videos. As Angelia was saying, we were lucky enough to get a bunch of video cameras, which I will say are pretty fun and simple and easy to use. They come with their own software that downloads directly onto your computer, and it's very easy to edit them, upload them, share them with a variety of people. So as a result, actually created a YouTube page that we've been able to put a few videos up on, and I really hope that in the future we can continue to put even more up, because we put everything together as far as AmeriCorps and Learn and Serve and mentoring videos, and I think it just would be fun to be able to share even more. We've actually put up some of the national videos with their permission, so anything that we can share on our YouTube page, we're very excited to do that as well. And some of the other things that we're looking to do is a broader communication plan. We realize that we need to serve all of Michigan, not just a select few. And as I was saying earlier, everybody kind of reacts to tools and materials differently. So the more we can do, although it does create more work for us and more work for our grantees and everybody in between, we do realize that because we're service-oriented, we want everyone engaged in service, and we will do everything we can to ensure that we do that. So we're very excited about that possibility.
What's been really neat, I think the real cool outcome, the long-term sustainable outcome, is that the social media stuff has been integrated into the way we do communications here for service, and beyond Learn and Serve, beyond just AmeriCorps, beyond just Metro Michigan. it is becoming a strategy that we're going to rely on for some time. And one of the last things we want to show you is our United We Serve Michigan page that is really, I think we do more communication here than maybe we do, you know, by press release, by letter and things. So to us, this is really the next generation of kind of where we go.
Yeah. If you're on Facebook, you should become a fan.
Brad Lewis is a fan.
Sure enough.
There he is.
Please don't look at the fact that we only have 7. So this page was just created earlier this week. So become a fan. We would appreciate it. Do you want to ask this question?
Yeah. So, you know, just in conclusion, I think what our big lessons were, or big questions really for you were, how in the world do you all manage this? So who does the social media in your shop? What kind of time are they spending? We got really lucky that we pulled together people who were just really kind of curious and interested. Elise had not used Facebook.
I know.
Coming out of
and
college.
and I'm only been out of school for a few years, so Ange thought I was really lame for a while there.
So, you know, we were lucky that we had a group of people who were just, you know, professionally curious, maybe. We've taken it on. But so we wonder from you, you know, who's doing this stuff for you, and then what kind of time are they spending to make it really good? Because there are areas where we want to do a better job, but we can kind of keep scratching our head going, how, though, and when? When will we get this done? So that's it. Thank you, guys, for listening.
Yay. Do people have have comments in terms of staffing up and building the capacity to be able to do this?
This is Judy from Heartland Foundation, and we've been very fortunate because we have a student intern from Missouri Western that is here 20 hours a week. And basically her role is to be our social media guru. And Erica's with us here today, but just does a phenomenal job. And has us up on Facebook and Twitter, and is helping us with the other social media tools that we put in place through our partnership with Learn and Serve.
You know, I forgot to mention that we did apply, include funding in a grant for an intern, and you may have heard we have a little bit of a budget deficit here, and there's a massive hiring freeze. And so that person who we thought was going to be the person who could do some of this work and then kind of convene the students and keep that piece going has yet to appear. So that was my TikTok. We're still waiting. They were hopeful that it might get approved, but here we are at the end of the grant. So we recognize that as a good option as well. We're hoping to get there with you.
Yeah.
Is there another grantee that wants to share how they staff up? Well, I'm thinking, this is Kristen, and I guess I'm thinking that it might be, you know, part of what I'm listening for across these calls, and probably will come back to you with some proposals, but what might be the 3 or 4 big questions, and, you know, safety has always been one, and some of those pieces, again, on what we've learned about how to introduce this and get this in your system is something that I think people have learned a lot about. I mean, you guys, it's clear today from just talking about where people were a year ago and where they are. But I think maybe there is one that we really talk about, you know, what does it take to do this well in terms of staffing, and what are the models? Like, I'm intrigued that with the internship piece, you know, is that to get somebody who's young and more fluent, but partnered with a communications person who really knows how the systems work and has some of those other skill sets. You know, I think we could come up with what are 2 or 3 different models, as well as what roughly have been the time invested and seems to be the time to maintain this and keep it fresh and new, like you've said. So you're asking the right question, and maybe that's how Tom, by sort of September, we can start pulling the wisdom from each of the sites. Was there anything else for Michigan, or should we all do our virtual? I don't know, how do you do applause? You know, I guess you can type in applause, but applause via technology. Thank you so much, Elise and Angelia. It was really felt like a very full meal.
It feels that way. Thank you. And yeah, thanks.